So when people talk about fusion, it's gotten a real bad rap lately, that it's basically just a lot of soloing over one chord. But you are truly a fusion player in the real meaning of the word, is that you meld together blues and bebop and rock and then New Orleans and all sorts of stuff. So
Don't forget jazz.
Oh, jazz, of course. So the obvious question is how did you develop this kind of style?
Well, I never consciously brought in, different kind of music to come together at all, but I guess really when I started playing, really becoming aware of jazz was the very, like 1969, 1970, I went to Berklee School, and I think I started really getting into jazz around 68, and there wasn't any fusion then, it was just like there was jazz and the whole thing, and then Miles started to play In a Silent Way and Bitches Brew, and now looking back, that's fusion. But at the time, I never, thought of being anything other than playing jazz music on the guitar, but I had started out playing blues. I really loved, Chicago blues and Muddy Waters and all that stuff. So then, I spent a long time at Berklee with a big fat jazz guitar and copying, my idols, Jim Hall and Wes Montgomery and all those guys. And I was so in love with sort of jazz from the 60s that really didn't have guitar players in the groups, like Coltrane's group or Miles or, before Bitches Brew and all that when I started later on, started to play in bands that were playing the kind of expressive music that I wanted to play. I found that, I went back to some of my rock or blues beginnings to use more of a distorted sound and bending notes and stuff like that. And so I guess that's a fusion of jazz guitar technique with what has become rock and roll guitar technique, which really started from the blues guys, from when B.B. King and those guys started to bend notes and play the blues like they sang it on the guitar. Yeah. There are a lot of guitar players that I really love, and people ask me who my influences are, and I end up, even though somebody, maybe you didn't copy them so much, right. You learn so much from just hearing somebody play really well. Like Jim Hall, even though actually I did copy him when I was younger. If people heard me, when people hear me on this tape, they're going to maybe say, God, it has nothing to do with Jim Hall to them. But you get so much just from learning about, from seeing anybody play the guitar really well in the jazz idiom, like Django Reinhardt or Charlie Christian or Wes Montgomery, any of those guys.